hiring is a multi-year game. About half the people we've hired at Nomics, I've known, about a year, and knew for some of them, two of them I knew for over a year before they were hired. And it's just so important, I think, as a CEO to stay in contact with people who are excellent at what they do. A lot of people try and stay in contact with thought leaders or other CEOs and, people with huge brand names, and those people are already bombarded and they have way too much to do. I think the highest ROI relationships to keep up are ones with just amazing operators in their space. And I really believe that the biggest lessons I've learned as an entrepreneur have been around what excellence looks like in different positions and in different roles. And until you've worked with an A player in a given role, it's just hard to know what that looks like, especially in some of these roles that don't get a lot of attention, like finance leaders, sales leaders, design and product leaders, engineering leaders. Generally, the top people generally the top people in many of these roles don't have huge followings on Twitter. There's not a lot of social signaling around who they are, other than maybe companies that they've worked at in the past, maybe. And the only way that they'll have, for the most part, that they'll have really fancy past roles is, if they've lived on the coast, right? If they've lived in New York or San Francisco. But other than that, those signals are often not there. But I think these are really important people to stay in touch with. So I just got off the phone with someone who we were looking at my last company when we were looking to replace me as CEO. I went to the board. I said, I think it's time to hire another CEO. This company is, I feel really comfortable between, 30 people to 80 people or 100. Past that, I think I'm a bit out of my league. We should hire someone. And someone applied for that position who I really think the world of. Like, I think they're one of the best executives I've ever seen. Again, they don't have a huge following on Twitter. They don't have a huge personal brand, but holy crap, they're amazing operators. And I think they've been successful in every single role they've ever been in, ever. And so I stay in touch with them. I'd like them to be an advisor to the company. And so we're talking about that. I also, as a side note, stay in touch with the person that we hired for that role to replace me as CEO at my last company. He's an advisor to the company. We meet every month, and I've learned so much from him and have the utmost respect for him as well. But I think staying in touch with the best operators in these often looked over areas of a business, I think it's one of the highest ROI activities ever as an entrepreneur. And I don't think it's done enough because I just don't know a lot of people that do it. But those are the people that make the difference between really taking off as a business versus not, right? I mean, the people that really make a company successful are the operators, right? The people who are working inside the business day in and day out, versus someone like a CEO who's often outward facing most of their time. And really, the most important thing a CEO can do, in addition to making sure there's money in the bank and communicating the vision, is to be hiring good people. And almost all the lessons I've learned about entrepreneurship over time have to do with people and org charts and patience. All right, take care. Bye. Oh, hey, and one more note about this. I think most of the time when people go to recruit and they don't have established connections in a space, they don't know what excellence looks like in a given role, and maybe they go to hire a recruiter and they're going to fill a position. often those are the least successful placements that are made within a company, because it's a company that doesn't have connections with the type of people who would be successful in a role. That's kind of a red flag, right? That they haven't thought about an issue enough to have established connections in that space. And often when you go out and you're just cold recruiting, just the benefits of knowing people who are so good in a given role, like that's really great for pattern matching, right? Like if you know someone who would be perfect for that role and you're in contact with them, you know them on a first name basis, you can call them up. Those people can vet folks that you're looking to hire in a given role. And also they can be just sort of, the golden example of what you're looking for, right? So anyone you look at when you're looking to hire for a given role, you can compare against people you know that are your paragons of perfection for that role. So, I think in general, a CEO or any hiring manager should aspire to not be in a position where they're doing kind of these cold hires, right? Where they don't know someone who would be good for the role. They have no one to kind of bounce an ideal or a perceived ideal candidate against. And they just have no roots in that space, right? Like that's not a great place to be in. And I think for the most part, a company should minimize those types of like kind of blind cold hires. All right, I'm really done now. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. If you liked this content, please help me out by leaving a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. It provides me with encouragement and it helps other people find the program. Also, if you have a question that you'd like me to answer on the podcast, go to asknomics.com, leave me a question, and I'll do my best to answer it in the next few days. Thanks for listening and see you tomorrow.